40 years. 40 years studying Capricorn energy, and I just discovered something that's going to change everything you think you know about why we suffer first. Not just as someone who's lived it, but as someone who's dedicated 4 decades to understanding the astrological blueprint of our sign. I'm Jeff, and I've been a professional astrologer since 1985, specializing exclusively in Capricorn energy. I've studied thousands of Capricorn charts, counseled countless Capricorn souls, and spent over 4 decades mapping the cosmic design of our sign. And what I discovered 3 weeks ago in my research is going to explain everything you've ever wondered about your path. Why we always get the hardest assignments. Why we carry weight that should crush us, but somehow doesn't. Why we're the ones still standing at 50, 60, 70 years old, while everyone else our age is falling apart. It's all written in our astrological DNA, and today I'm going to decode it for you. But first, if you're a Capricorn, drop your birth date in the comments. I want to see how many of us found this message today. Because what I'm about to reveal isn't just personal experience. It's 40 years of astrological research proving why your life has been designed exactly the way it's been. And if you know a Capricorn who's been questioning their path, tag them. They need to understand their cosmic blueprint. See, most astrologers will tell you surface-level things about Capricorn. We're ambitious, we're disciplined, we're practical. But after 4 decades of deep study, I've uncovered something much more profound. Something that explains why our journey is fundamentally different from every other sign in the zodiac. We're not just ruled by Saturn for discipline. We're ruled by Saturn for preparation. Saturn is the cosmic trainer, the celestial drill sergeant, the planetary force that takes souls through the most intensive spiritual boot camp in the universe. And Capricorns? We're Saturn's special project. When I first started studying astrology in the early 80s, I noticed something that puzzled me. Every other sign seemed to have a clear path to their gifts. Aries gets courage naturally, Leo gets confidence automatically, Pisces flows into intuition effortlessly. But Capricorns, we have to earn everything through experience. We have to prove everything through endurance. We have to develop everything through difficulty. And for years, I thought this was unfair. I thought Saturn was being cruel to us. I remember sitting in my study in 1987, looking at chart after chart of Capricorns who'd been through hell, wondering why our ruling planet seemed to hate us so much. But then I started tracking Capricorn progressions over decades. I started following the same Capricorn souls through their entire life cycles, and I discovered something extraordinary. We don't just develop our gifts later than other signs. We develop gifts that other signs can never access. We don't just succeed differently, we succeed at a level that's impossible for others to reach. We don't just endure more, we transform more. Here's what 40 years of astrological study has taught me about why we suffer first. It's not punishment, it's cosmic preparation. Saturn doesn't put us through hell because he hates us. Saturn puts us through hell because he's creating something that can't be created any other way. Think about how diamonds are formed. Carbon buried deep underground, subjected to intense pressure and heat for millions of years. The pressure that would destroy other materials is exactly what creates the hardest, most valuable substance on Earth. That's what Saturn is doing with Capricorn souls. That's what our suffering really is, cosmic pressure creating something unbreakable. I've studied the birth charts of thousands of Capricorns, and I see the same pattern every time. Heavy Saturn aspects in childhood, difficult planetary transits in our 20s and 30s, challenging progressions that would break other signs. But here's what's fascinating. By the time we reach our Saturn return at 29, and especially by our second Saturn return at 58, we've developed capabilities that are literally impossible for other signs to achieve. Let me show you what I mean. I have a client, born January 15th, 1955. Her chart showed Saturn conjunct her Sun, square her Moon, and opposing her Venus. In astrological terms, That's a recipe for a very difficult life. And she lived it. Lost her parents when she was 16, struggled financially for decades, working 3 jobs just to survive. Went through 3 divorces, each one more devastating than the last. Battled cancer twice and won both times. But when I looked at her progressed chart at age 65, I saw something remarkable. All that Saturn energy had transformed into what we call earned wisdom aspects. She developed a level of emotional resilience, practical wisdom, and spiritual strength that you simply cannot get any other way. She became a grief counselor who could help people through losses that would terrify other therapists. She could sit with someone's pain because she'd sat with her own and transformed it. This is what Saturn does with Capricorn energy over time. He takes us through experiences that would destroy other signs, not to break us, but to forge us into something extraordinary. Every loss teaches us that we can survive anything. Every betrayal teaches us to trust our instincts. Every setback teaches us that we can rebuild from nothing. And here's the astrological secret that most people don't understand. While other signs peak early and decline, Capricorns are designed to get stronger with age. Our ruling planet Saturn governs time, maturity, and earned authority. We're literally wired to improve over decades. I've tracked this pattern in hundreds of charts. Capricorns who struggled in their 20s become stable in their 40s. Capricorns who endured loss in their 30s become wise teachers in their 50s. Capricorns who faced crisis in their 40s become unshakable pillars in their 60s. This is why astrology calls Capricorn the sign of late bloomers. Not because we're slow, but because we're built for longevity. We're designed to peak when other signs are declining. We're structured to become more powerful with time, not less. I remember studying the chart of a Capricorn, born January 3rd, 1940. When I met her in 1995, she was 55 and had just lost everything in a business bankruptcy. Her husband had left, her children weren't speaking to her, and she was living in a studio apartment, wondering how her life had gone so wrong. According to traditional astrology, she should have been broken. But I looked at her transits and progressions, and I saw something different. Saturn was moving into a trine with her natal Jupiter. Her progressed moon was entering her 10th house of career and reputation. All the indicators pointed to a major rebuilding phase, not an ending. I told her, this isn't your destruction, this is your reconstruction. Saturn is clearing everything that wasn't authentically yours, so you can build something that is. She looked at me like I was crazy, but I'd seen this pattern too many times to doubt it. 5 years later, she called me. She'd started a small consulting business from her apartment. 10 years later, she was running a multi-million-dollar company. 15 years later, she was being honored as Businesswoman of the Year in her city. At 70, she was more successful, more respected, and more fulfilled than she'd ever been in her life. That's the power of understanding Capricorn energy astrologically. What looks like destruction is actually construction. What feels like ending is actually beginning. What seems like failure is actually preparation for a level of success that wouldn't have been possible any other way. But here's what took me 40 years of study to fully understand. The reason we suffer first isn't just about our personal development. It's about our cosmic assignment. In the astrological wheel, Capricorn sits at the midheaven, the highest point, the place of ultimate achievement and public service. We're not just developing strength for ourselves, we're developing strength to serve others. Saturn gives us the hardest path because he's preparing us for the highest calling. He puts us through the most intensive training because he's creating cosmic first responders. When other people's worlds fall apart, they need someone who's already been through world collapse and rebuilt. When others face impossible challenges, they need someone who's already proven that nothing is truly impossible. I see this in the astrological patterns of every mature Capricorn I study. By the time we reach our second Saturn return, we've become the people others turn to in crisis. Not because we have easy answers, but because we have real experience. Not because we never struggled, but because we struggled and transformed. This is written in our stars, literally. Capricorn energy is designed to take the raw material of suffering and alchemize it into wisdom, to take the base metal of pain and transmute it into the gold of understanding, to take the chaos of crisis and restructure it into the foundation of strength. Let me tell you about another pattern I've discovered in my 4 decades of research. Capricorns don't just survive trauma differently than other signs. We process it differently. Where other signs might need years of therapy to work through a single major loss, Capricorns have this almost supernatural ability to extract the lesson, integrate the wisdom, and move forward stronger. I had a client born December 28, 1962. His chart showed Mars conjunct Saturn in Capricorn, which typically indicates a life of hard work and delayed rewards. And that's exactly what he experienced. Lost his father at 12, had to work to help support his family through high school, couldn't afford college, started at the bottom of every job he ever had. But here's what was fascinating about his chart. Every difficult aspect was balanced by a hidden strength aspect, that Mars-Saturn conjunction that made his early life so hard. It also gave him an unbreakable work ethic and the ability to persist when others quit. The Moon-Pluto square that brought emotional intensity and family trauma. It also gave him the ability to transform pain into power and help others do the same. By the time I met him at 45, he'd built a successful construction company, was happily married with 3 kids, and was known in his community as the guy you called when you needed something impossible done. He'd taken every disadvantage Saturn had given him and turned it into an advantage. That's the alchemical power of mature Capricorn energy. We don't just endure difficulty, we transmute it. We don't just survive challenges, we transform them into capabilities. We don't just overcome obstacles, we convert them into stepping stones for others. And here's something I've noticed in my decades of studying Capricorn progressions. We have this unique ability to see the long-term picture when others can only see the immediate crisis. While other signs get caught up in the drama of the moment, Capricorns instinctively zoom out and see the larger pattern. I remember counseling a Capricorn woman, born January 10, 1958, who came to me in 2008 during the financial crisis. She'd lost her job, her house was underwater, and her retirement savings had been decimated. She was 50 and felt like her life was over. But when I looked at her chart, I saw something different. Pluto was transiting her second house of resources, which typically indicates a complete transformation of how you earn and manage money. Saturn was preparing to enter her first house, which usually brings a new identity and life direction. All the indicators pointed to a major life reinvention, not a life ending. I told her, this crisis isn't destroying your future, it's revealing your future. Everything that's falling apart wasn't meant to be permanent. Saturn is clearing space for something much better. She was skeptical, but she trusted the process. Within 2 years, she'd started a financial consulting business helping other people navigate economic uncertainty. Within 5 years, she was earning more than she ever had in her corporate job. Within 10 years, she'd written a book about financial resilience that became a bestseller. The crisis that seemed like it would end her career actually launched her into her true calling. This is what I mean when I say Capricorns are designed differently. We don't just react to crisis, we respond to it. We don't just survive change, we leverage it. We don't just endure transformation, we direct it. But here's the part that took me the longest to understand in my astrological studies. The reason Saturn puts us through so much isn't just to make us strong, it's to make us useful. Every challenge we overcome becomes a tool we can use to help others. Every lesson we learn becomes wisdom we can share. Every victory we achieve becomes proof that victory is possible. I've noticed this pattern in hundreds of Capricorn charts. We don't just succeed for ourselves, we succeed in ways that inspire and enable others. We don't just overcome for our own benefit, we overcome in ways that show others how to overcome. We don't just transform for personal growth, we transform in ways that demonstrate transformation is possible. This is why mature Capricorns often become teachers, mentors, coaches, counselors, leaders. Not because we're naturally gifted at these roles, but because we've earned the right to fill them. We've walked the path we're asking others to walk. We've faced the challenges we're helping others face. We've overcome the obstacles we're teaching others to overcome. And here's something beautiful I've discovered about Capricorn energy in my 4 decades of study. We get better with age in ways that other signs simply don't. While other signs might peak in their 20s or 30s and then plateau or decline, Capricorns keep growing, keep developing, keep becoming more of who we're meant to be. I have clients in their 70s and 80s who are more vibrant, more purposeful, more effective than they were in their 40s. I have Capricorns in their 60s who are just hitting their stride, just discovering their true calling, just stepping into their real power. This is because Saturn's lessons compound over time. Every year of experience adds to our capabilities. Every decade of growth multiplies our effectiveness. Every challenge we overcome increases our capacity to help others overcome. I think about the comment I read from one of your viewers who said, "I'm 82 now, and yes, there have been many setbacks, problems, losing everything. Building back was not easy, but now I'm very careful who I want in my life. I haven't become wealthy, and what I do have could all be gone in a second, but I've decided to find enjoyment and happiness in the small things." That's the wisdom of a mature Capricorn speaking. That's someone who's been through Saturn's complete curriculum and graduated with honors. That's someone who's learned that true wealth isn't what you have, it's who you've become. That's someone who understands that real security isn't external circumstances, it's internal capabilities. And here's what I want every Capricorn to understand from an astrological perspective. Your chart isn't broken, your life isn't cursed, your path isn't wrong. You're exactly where Saturn designed you to be, developing exactly what the universe needs you to develop. Every difficult transit you've survived has added to your capabilities. Every challenging progression you've endured has strengthened your foundation. Every hard aspect you've lived through has prepared you for a level of achievement that other signs simply cannot reach. I remember the moment this became crystal clear to me. It was 1999, and I was studying the chart of a Capricorn born January 1st, 1950. Brutal aspects: Saturn opposite Mars, Pluto square Sun, Neptune conjunct Moon. This person should have been destroyed by life. Instead, at 49 years old, he'd become one of the most respected leaders in his community. Everyone came to him for guidance. When I asked him how he'd survived everything he'd been through, he said something that changed my understanding forever. He said, "I stopped asking why this was happening to me and started asking what this was preparing me for." That's the shift that happens when you understand your astrological design. You realize that Saturn isn't your enemy. Saturn is your trainer. Your suffering isn't random, it's curriculum. Your pain isn't punishment, it's preparation for a level of service that requires someone who's been through everything and emerged unbroken. After 40 years of studying Capricorn energy, I can tell you with absolute certainty that we are the most powerful sign in the zodiac. Not because we start strong, but because we end strong. Not because we avoid difficulty, but because we transform difficulty into strength. Not because we have it easy, but because we make the hard things look easy. The astrological truth is this: every other sign has limits. Aries burns out, Leo gets overshadowed, Gemini gets scattered, Virgo gets overwhelmed, Libra gets indecisive, Scorpio gets obsessive, Sagittarius gets restless, Aquarius gets detached, Pisces gets lost. But Capricorns, we get stronger, we get wiser, we get more capable, we get more valuable with every year, every challenge, every test. This is why our rewards come later but last longer. This is why our success comes slower but goes deeper. This is why our wisdom comes harder but holds stronger. We're not built for quick wins, we're built for permanent victories. And here's something I've discovered about Capricorn timing that most astrologers don't talk about. We operate on what I call Saturn Standard Time. While other signs are rushing to achieve everything in their 20s and 30s, we're building the foundation for achievements that will last decades. I've seen this pattern over and over in my practice. Capricorns who seem to be behind in their 30s end up being way ahead in their 50s. Capricorns who appear to be struggling in their 40s become unstoppable in their 60s. We're not late bloomers, we're strategic bloomers. Saturn teaches us that anything worth having is worth waiting for, worth working for, worth suffering for. While other signs chase immediate gratification, we're building for permanent satisfaction. While others focus on quick success, we're creating lasting legacy. This is why when you look at the most enduring achievements in any field, you'll often find a Capricorn behind them. We don't just build businesses, we build institutions. We don't just create success, we create systems. We don't just achieve goals, we establish standards. And here's what I want every Capricorn to understand about their cosmic design. You weren't given your challenges because you're weak. You were given your challenges because you're strong enough to handle them and transform them into something useful for others. Every loss you've survived has taught you how to help others survive loss. Every betrayal you've overcome has shown you how to help others overcome betrayal. Every failure you've transformed has demonstrated how transformation is possible. The suffering came first because the service comes last. The struggle came first because the strength comes last. The pain came first because the purpose comes last. And after 40 years of astrological study, I can promise you this: it's all been worth it. Your Saturn training is complete. Your cosmic education is finished. Your astrological preparation is done. Now, it's time to step into the role you've been prepared for your entire life. The role of the unbreakable one, the one who can handle what others can't, the one who can guide others through what you've already survived. I see this transformation happening in Capricorns all around me. People who spent their first 40 years being tested are spending their next 40 years being trusted. People who spent decades being broken down are now being built up. People who spent years being prepared are now being positioned. This is the cosmic design of Capricorn energy. We suffer first so we can serve first. We struggle first so we can strengthen first. We endure first so we can encourage first. We overcome first so we can show others that overcoming is possible. And here's the beautiful part about reaching this level of astrological maturity. Once you understand that your suffering was cosmic curriculum, you stop being a victim of your circumstances and start being a victor over them. You stop asking why this happened to you and start asking how you can use what happened to help others. You realize that every scar is a story of survival. Every wound is a window into wisdom. Every challenge is a chapter in your curriculum. Every setback is a setup for a comeback that will inspire others to come back too. Drop your birth date in the comments if you're ready to embrace your true astrological power. Let me see how many Capricorns are finally understanding their cosmic design. Because the world needs what Saturn has created in you. The world needs your strength, your wisdom, your refusal to quit. After 40 years of studying our sign, I know this for certain. We don't just survive our suffering, we transform it into service. We don't just endure our struggles, we convert them into strength for others. We don't just overcome